Dr. Emily Martinez's footsteps echoed through the marble hallways of the United Nations headquarters, each click of her heels matching her racing heartbeat. The flash drive in her hand contained information that would forever change humanity's place in the cosmos. Behind her, 2 Security Council guards maintained a brisk pace, their faces betraying the anxiety that had permeated the building since the strange objects had appeared in Earth's orbit 12 hours ago. The emergency session of the Security Council had been called at 3 a.m. Eastern Time, bringing together representatives from every major world power. As Emily entered the chamber, she noticed the dark circles under everyone's eyes, the nervous tapping of fingers on polished wood, and the endless cups of coffee that dotted the circular table. Dr. Martinez, Secretary General Richardson's voice cut through the murmurs. "I understand you've decoded the transmission." Emily nodded, connecting her device to the room's holographic display system. Her hands trembled slightly as she pulled up the first image, a star map showing the path of the crystalline vessels, now hovering above Earth's atmosphere. At 200 hours, we successfully established contact with the lead vessel, she began, her voice steady despite her nerves. They call themselves the Nextari, and they're refugees fleeing from an entity known as the Hive Collective. The hologram shifted to show footage from the alien transmission. The Nextari ambassador's form shimmered like living crystal, its translucent body housing swirling colors that seemed to pulse with each word. The universal translator Emily's team had worked on for the past 6 hours rendered its message in clear, haunting English. "People of Earth," the crystalline being's words filled the chamber. "We come to you in our darkest hour. The Hive Collective has consumed 17 systems, turning flourishing civilizations into drone factories for their endless expansion. We approached the Galactic Council for asylum, but they deemed us too great a risk. Every advanced civilization has turned us away, fearing the Hive's retribution." The room fell silent as images of destroyed worlds played across the display. Entire planets reduced to factory hives, their surfaces covered in geometric patterns that seemed to pulse with malevolent purpose. "Your species," the ambassador continued, "is considered too primitive, too savage by galactic standards to be worth the Hive's immediate attention. This is why we come to you. You are our last hope." The Chinese representative stood up first. "How many refugees are we talking about?" Emily pulled up the sensor data. Approximately 3 million Nextari are spread across the 47 vessels in orbit. Their ships are running on emergency power, and their life support systems are failing. "And this Hive Collective," the Russian ambassador interrupted, "they will follow." "Yes," Emily confirmed, bringing up the long-range sensor data. "The Nextari estimate we have 2 Earth months before the first Hive Scouts reach our solar system." The room erupted in overlapping voices until Secretary General Richardson raised his hand for silence. "Dr. Martinez, what do you recommend?" Emily took a deep breath, thinking of her grandfather's stories about his family's escape from political persecution, about the countries that had turned them away, and the one that had taken them in. "The Galactic Council calls us savage because of our history of warfare, our aggression, our inability to achieve the kind of unity they consider civilized," she said, her voice growing stronger. "But they forget what that history has taught us. We, more than any advanced civilization out there, understand the price of turning away those in need. We know what it means to face impossible odds, to fight when no one else will." She gestured to the images of the Nextari ships. These beings crossed half a galaxy looking for help. Everyone else chose safety over compassion. Maybe being savage means we're the only ones brave enough to do what's right. The chamber fell silent again, but this time it was different. Emily saw determination replacing fear in the eyes around her. The Brazilian representative was the first to speak. "My country votes to grant immediate asylum." One by one, other representatives stood. The vote was unanimous. As Emily left the chamber hours later, she couldn't help but smile. Humanity had just taken its first real step into the galactic community, and they had done it not through technological achievement or military might, but through an act of compassion that their civilized neighbors had deemed too savage to consider. Colonel James Thompson stood at the viewport of Lunar Defense Station Alpha, his weathered hands clasped behind his back as he watched Earth rotate slowly beneath him. The blue marble looked peaceful from up here, showing no signs of the frenzied activity that had consumed humanity for the past month since the Nextari arrival. "Sir," Lieutenant Rodriguez's voice crackled over the intercom, "we're detecting a quantum surge at the edge of the solar system." Thompson's jaw tightened. They'd been expecting this, but expectation didn't make reality any easier to face. "Alert General Stone at the Pentagon. Get me a direct feed to the source." The holographic display flickered to life, showing a massive vessel that seemed to absorb the very starlight around it. The quantum transmission began without preamble, the universal translator working overtime to process the multi-tone message. "Inhabitants of Sol 3, the mechanical voice resonated through the station's command center. You harbor fugitives from the justice of the Hive Collective. Surrender the Nextari within 48 Earth hours, or face immediate termination. Your species' primitive status has been revoked. You are now classified as a Level 1 threat." Thompson allowed himself a grim smile. "Patch me through to the Pentagon War Room." The screen split, showing General Rebecca Stone's face alongside the Hive vessel. The general's dark eyes blazed with the same fire Thompson felt in his gut. "You seeing this, Thunder?" she asked, using his old call sign from their fighter pilot days. "Clear as day, Beck. They're not wasting time with diplomacy." "Good." Stone's fist came down on her desk with a crack that made her aides jump. "I'm tired of being called primitive by aliens who don't have the backbone to help people in need. The president's giving her address in 5 minutes. Get down to the surface. We're going to need you for what comes next." The quantum transmission crackled again. "Your silence is noted. We will demonstrate the consequence of defiance." A beam of sickly green energy lanced out from the Hive vessel, striking one of the unmanned monitoring stations at the edge of the solar system. The station didn't explode. It simply ceased to exist, along with a sphere of space nearly a kilometer in diameter. "Analysis," Thompson barked. "Some kind of matter deletion technology, sir," Rodriguez reported, her fingers flying over her console. "It's not just destroying targets. It's removing them from existence." In the Pentagon, General Stone was already issuing orders. "Get me the Nextari ambassador. If they got tech like that, we need every advantage they can give us." The crystalline form of Ambassador Nextara materialized in both command centers. We witnessed the demonstration. The ambassador's translated voice carried notes of both fear and determination. "We had hoped to spare your people this conflict. With all due respect, Ambassador," Stone cut in, "we knew what we were signing up for." "Now, about that biotechnology you mentioned." "Yes." The ambassador's crystalline form pulsed with swirling colors. "Our scientists are ready, but I must warn you, the integration process is dangerous. Many species have tried and failed to merge with our biotechnology. The physical and psychological demands are extreme." Thompson watched as Stone's face set into lines of granite determination. "Good thing we humans have a habit of doing the impossible. Thunder, get your team ready. You're about to become our first test subjects." As Thompson headed for the lunar shuttle bay, his tactical display lit up with activity. Around the world, military forces were mobilizing. Chinese hypersonic fighters took to the skies alongside American next-gen bombers. Russian orbital platforms began charging their mass drivers as European defense grids hummed to life. The Hive had called humanity primitive for their division, their aggression, their unwillingness to submit to a single controlling authority. But as Thompson watched the nations of Earth unite against a common threat, he realized that their so-called primitive nature might be exactly what would save them. "This is Colonel Thompson to all stations," he broadcast as his shuttle broke lunar orbit. "The enemy expects us to break. They expect us to run. Let's show them what happens when you back humanity into a corner. Because we might be savages, But we're savages who keep our promises, and we promised the Mexteri they'd be safe here. Behind him, Earth's combined defense fleet began to take shape, a testament to humanity's defiance against impossible odds. Major Derek Ghost Anderson pressed his back against the crumbling wall of what used to be Dubai's financial district, his enhanced vision scanning the eerily quiet streets ahead. The Mexteri biotechnology grafted into his nervous system tingled, warning him of approaching threats. His squad of 12 Marines, each similarly augmented, maintained absolute silence in their positions throughout the ruins. "Control, this is Ghost," he subvocalized, the biotech transmitting his thoughts directly to command. "High forces approaching from the northeast, counting at least 30 drones. They're moving in that perfect formation again." "Roger that, Ghost," General Stone's voice echoed in his mind. "Remember, this is our first real ground engagement. Make it count." Anderson smiled grimly. The Hive's ground forces had expected to find panicked resistance, disorganized humans firing wildly at their perfect formations. Instead, they'd found empty cities, carefully prepared killing grounds, and Marines who'd spent generations perfecting the art of asymmetrical warfare. "Sergeant Reynolds," he transmitted to his second-in-command, "status on the underground prep." "Sewers are rigged, sir. Old subway tunnels, too. Just like Baghdad, circa 2025. The first wave of Hive drones came into view. They moved with mechanical precision, their biomechanical bodies flowing in perfect synchronization. Each drone connected to a central intelligence, sharing information instantly, adapting as one organism. Anderson waited until they reached the designated point. Now, the street erupted. Not in explosions, those would have been too predictable. Instead, sonic disruptors, salvaged from Mexteri technology and modified by human engineers, created overlapping fields of canceling frequencies. The hive mind's instant communication suddenly faced significant delays. "Phase 2, Anderson ordered. His Marines emerged from their hiding spots in perfect chaos. No two soldiers attacked from the same angle or used the same approach. Sergeant Reynolds popped up from a manhole behind the drone formation. Corporal Chen rappelled down the side of a building, firing as she descended. Private Jackson emerged from behind a holographic projection of rubble. The drones, their perfect formation shattered, tried to adapt. But their strength was also their weakness. They thought as one, moved as one, fought as one. Humans, with their primitive individuality, had spent millennia learning to think independently while working together. "They're trying to reestablish their network," Anderson observed as he rolled between cover positions, his enhanced muscles allowing him to move faster than any unaugmented human could. Chong, Martinez, hit their relay nodes. Two Marines broke from opposite directions, targeting the larger drones that served as local coordination hubs. Their weapons, loaded with electromagnetic pulses tailored to hive technology, struck with surgical precision. The drones' movements became erratic. Without central coordination, each unit defaulted to basic programming. They were still dangerous, perhaps even more so in their unpredictability, but they were no longer the perfect fighting force they'd been engineered to be. "Control, this is Ghost," Anderson transmitted as his team systematically dismantled the drone force. "You seeing this?" "Every bit of it," Stone replied, and he could hear the satisfaction in her voice. "The hive expected us to fight like every other species, with unity, coordination, and precise tactical doctrine. They don't understand that humans turned warfare into an art form centuries ago." Anderson ducked as a drone, its programming degrading, fired wildly in his direction. "An art form, Nam. The art of controlled chaos, Major. Every soldier thinking independently while working toward a common goal." The Mexteri called it tactical schizophrenia. They couldn't understand how an effective military could operate without perfect coordination. The last drone fell to a perfectly timed crossfire from 3 different positions. Anderson's team had suffered no casualties. "Ghost to all units," he broadcast as his team began setting up for the next wave. "Shift to pattern Delta. Let's show them something completely different this time. As his Marines scrambled to new positions, each moving according to their own style while fitting perfectly into the larger strategy, Anderson realized that humanity's greatest military weakness, their unpredictability, had become their greatest strength against an enemy that relied on perfect order. The second wave of drones was already visible on the horizon. This time, they moved more cautiously, their hive mind trying to adapt to human tactics. But adaptation required understanding, and how could a single unified mind understand the beautiful chaos of human warfare? Dr. Jason Roberts watched through reinforced glass as Lieutenant Amanda Phoenix Hayes screamed, her body arching off the medical bed as the Terry biotechnology integrated with her nervous system. The crystalline implants pulsed with swirling colors beneath her skin, spreading like luminous veins through her body. Heart rate at 180 and climbing. Dr. Monica Reyes called out, her fingers dancing across the holographic monitors. Neural activity off the charts. She's fighting it. Roberts leaned forward to the microphone. Lieutenant, remember your training. Don't resist the integration. Let it flow through you like water. Deep in the Rocky Mountain facility, this was the 100th integration attempt, but Hayes was different. Where others had tried to dominate the alien biotechnology, she moved with it, adapted to it, embraced it. The Terry scientist, Kextel, moved closer to the glass, its crystalline form reflecting the medical bay's harsh lights. Remarkable. Her neural pathways are reconfiguring faster than any species we've encountered. The human brain's plasticity is unprecedented. Hayes' screams subsided into steady breathing. The biotech's glow stabilized, creating intricate patterns across her skin that slowly faded from view. Her eyes opened, revealing iridescent pupils that shifted color like oil on water. Lieutenant, Roberts called out, "How do you feel?" Hayes sat up slowly, examining her hands as if seeing them for the first time. Like I can feel everything. The air currents, the electromagnetic fields from the equipment, the vibrations from the mountain above us. She paused, focusing on the wall. There are 3 maintenance workers in the next room fixing a coolant leak. Roberts checked the facility's system displays. She was right. The integration is complete. Kextel announced, its form pulsing with excited colors, and far more successful than our simulations predicted. Shall we begin the testing? The testing chamber was a cavernous space carved from solid rock, filled with holographic projectors and combat drones. Hayes stood in the center, wearing a simple training suit, no weapons or equipment. Begin sequence, Roberts ordered. The first drone launched forward, its mechanical arms reaching for Hayes. She didn't just dodge. She flowed around it like water, her movements guided by the biotech's enhanced spatial awareness. Her hand struck out, fingers transformed into crystalline claws that sheared through the drone's armor like paper. More, Hayes called out, her voice carrying an ethereal resonance. I need to know my limits. They sent in 5 drones, then 10, then 20. Hayes moved through them like a dance, her body temporarily crystallizing to deflect attacks before becoming fluid to slip through their defenses. The biotech responded to her instincts, transforming her body in split-second reactions that should have taken years to master. This is beyond our projections, Kextel observed, its form vibrating with excitement. The other species we tried this with, they approached the integration like a tool to be mastered. Humans, you adapt to it, become one with it. You're not trying to control the impossible, you're becoming it. Roberts watched as Hayes demonstrated abilities that redefined what was possible. How long did it take your people to develop these combat applications? Centuries. Kextel answered. We are a methodical species. Each adaptation, each technique, was carefully researched and documented before implementation. The alien scientist paused, watching Hayes crystallize her entire body to absorb a massive impact. Your Lieutenant Hayes has discovered 3 new applications in the past 5 minutes. The demonstration ended with Hayes standing amid a field of disabled drones, her body gradually returning to its normal appearance. Only her eyes retained their iridescent quality. "Send the data to General Stone," Roberts ordered, "and prep the next integration team. If the Hive wants to see how primitive we are, let's show them what happens when humans decide to evolve." As Hayes walked out of the testing chamber, Roberts noticed something extraordinary. The Xtari biotech hadn't just enhanced her, it had adapted to her. The crystalline patterns beneath her skin had taken on formations never seen in Xtari hosts, creating new configurations born from the merger of human ingenuity and alien technology. They weren't just soldiers anymore. They were becoming something entirely new, something that combined the best of both species. And if Hayes was any indication, they were evolving faster than anyone had thought possible. The Hive Collective had no idea what they were about to face. Lieutenant Kate Guardian Mitchell stood atop the observation deck of what used to be the Empire State Building, now transformed into a command center for Earth's integrated defense force. The New York skyline had changed dramatically in the 3 months since the Xtari arrival. Crystalline spires merged with human architecture, creating a cityscape that belonged in neither Earth nor alien design philosophies, but something beautifully in between. Movement at the orbital checkpoint, her enhanced senses picked up the transmission before it reached her comm unit. Another refugee ship requesting sanctuary. Below her, the streets teemed with life from a dozen different worlds. Pexillary energy beings floated alongside human pedestrians, their aurora-like forms providing natural lighting in the evening hours. Vorkath warriors, with their phase-shifting abilities, helped construction crews reach impossible places as they expanded the city's defensive infrastructure. "What species this time?" she asked, her iridescent eyes focusing on the approaching vessel. "Quantum signatures matched the Zexli," reported Sergeant Mike Cooper from the control room. "Third ship this week. The Hive's pushing harder into their territory." Kate smiled grimly. Every refugee they took in made Earth stronger, not weaker. The Galactic Council had called them foolish for opening their doors while under siege, but they didn't understand the human way. A flash of movement caught her attention. A young Xtari crystal child had wandered into a construction zone. Without thinking, Kate leaped from the observation deck, her biotech-enhanced body shifting to absorb the 100-story drop. She landed gracefully, crystalline structures briefly flaring across her skin before fading. "Hey there, little one," she said, scooping up the child whose form sparkled with anxiety patterns. "Let's find your guardian." A Vorkath warrior phased through a nearby wall, his massive form becoming solid as he approached. "Lieutenant Mitchell, the new defense protocols are ready for review. The Zexli bring interesting technology. Their quantum entanglement barriers could significantly enhance our shield network." "Good." Kate handed the crystal child to a passing Xtari adult, whose colors swirled with gratitude. "Have them coordinate with Dr. Roberts' team. I want these innovations integrated into our defensive grid by tomorrow." She made her way through the streets, noting how smoothly the different species worked together. Human adaptability had proven to be infectious. Where other civilizations stayed rigid in their specialized roles, Earth's refugees were learning to blend their abilities in ways never before considered. The Defense Command Center hummed with activity. Holographic displays showed the expanded solar system defense network, now strengthened by technologies from 7 different species, each bringing their own strengths, their own ways of fighting. "Report from Dubai," Cooper announced. "Major Anderson's mixed-species combat teams just completed their first joint operation. The Hive lost another advanced scout fleet. They still can't adapt to fighting multiple species using human guerrilla tactics." Kate reviewed the combat footage. Human Marines fought alongside phase-shifting Vorkath warriors, while pixillary energy beings provided living shields. The Hive's perfect formation shattered against defenses they couldn't predict or understand. "The Galactic Council's latest transmission, Mom," her assistant handed her a datapad. "They're still demanding we stop accepting refugees. They say we're escalating the conflict." Kate crushed the pad in her enhanced grip. Send them our usual response. Earth remains open to all who seek sanctuary from the hive. We will not abandon those in need. An alert flashed across her visual field. The Zexley ship was beginning its descent. Kate watched as New York's buildings lit up with welcome signals in different species' native light spectrums. Where other worlds saw refugees as burdens, Earth had turned them into strength. Prepare welcome protocols, she ordered, and get me a direct line to their ship's commander. I want to know everything they can tell us about the hive's recent movements. As she looked out over the city again, Kate saw what the hive and the Galactic Council couldn't understand. Every species they drove from their homes, every civilization they threatened, only made humanity's coalition stronger. The savage humans had created something unprecedented, a fortress world where diversity itself was a weapon, and the hive was about to learn just how dangerous that could be. Admiral Michael Stormbringer Reynolds stood on the bridge of the U.S. Defiance, his enhanced eyes tracking the movement of Earth's combined fleet near Jupiter's orbit. The massive gas giant's swirling storms seemed to mirror the tension in his gut as he prepared to launch humanity's boldest move yet. All ships report ready, Admiral. Commander Sarah West announced, her own biotech implants creating subtle patterns beneath her skin as she processed the flood of tactical data. The Pexillary energy ships have taken their positions within the gas giant's atmosphere. Vorkath phase raiders are cloaked and waiting. Reynolds nodded, his attention fixed on the holographic display showing the approaching hive fleet. 5,000 ships strong. They thought they were launching a surprise attack. They had no idea they were flying into a trap generations in the making. Signal the Nexteri crystalline ships, he ordered. Begin Operation Thunderstorm. Jupiter's atmosphere erupted with energy as the Pexillary vessels activated, using the gas giant's magnetic field to create a massive electromagnetic web. The hive fleet's quantum communications suddenly fragmented, their perfect formation showing the first signs of disorder. They're adapting faster than before, West warned. Their secondary networks are coming online. Reynolds smiled. Just like we expected. Major Anderson, you're up. Hundreds of smaller craft shot out from hidden positions in Jupiter's countless moons. Each carried mixed crews of humans and aliens, their ships modified with technology that shouldn't have worked together but somehow did. Human ingenuity had found ways to merge Vorkath phase technology with Nexteri crystalline weapons, creating ships that could phase through enemy shields while firing weapons that bypassed conventional defenses. The hives responding with their standard containment pattern, West reported. They're trying to trap our forces against Jupiter's gravity well. Perfect. Reynolds opened a channel to all ships. This is Stormbringer. Execute Phase 2. Show them why you don't trap a storm. The Vorkath phase raiders decloaked directly inside the hive formation, their modified weapons tearing through ships that had never adapted to defend against such impossible combinations of technology. At the same time, the Pexillary vessels rode Jupiter's magnetic fields like solar winds, creating chaos in the hive's supposedly perfect formations. Sir, West's voice carried a note of excitement. The hive's central command ship is adjusting position. They're trying to compensate for our unconventional attack patterns. Reynolds watched as the massive hive vessel, easily 10 times the size of his ship, moved to coordinate their counterattack. They still don't understand. They think if they can just find the pattern, they can predict us. Signal the Zexley. Time for our newest allies to show their worth. Quantum entanglement barriers suddenly materialized throughout the battlefield, cutting off sections of the hive fleet from each other. The barriers hadn't existed a second ago, and wouldn't exist a second later, appearing and disappearing in patterns that even Reynolds couldn't predict. All ships, he broadcast, engage at will. Show them every trick you've got. No coordination, no patterns, just pure chaos. The space around Jupiter erupted into the most bizarre battle the galaxy had ever seen. Human ships barrel rolled through debris fields, their Angsteri crystal weapons firing in impossible arcs. Vorkath Raiders phase shifted in and out of existence, each appearing with different weapon configurations. Kexilari energy vessels rode magnetic waves like surfers catching perfect waves. Hive command ship is charging their matter deletion weapon, West reported. Right on schedule, Reynolds grinned. Signal the Defiance crew. Time to show them our latest surprise. As the Hive weapon fired, the U.S. Defiance's hull suddenly crystallized, the beam passing harmlessly through the phase-shifted crystal structure. The transformation lasted less than a second, but it was enough. The impossible had become possible. New contacts, West announced. Hive reinforcements entering the system. Reynolds watched as more enemy ships poured through quantum space. They thought numbers would overwhelm Earth's defenders. They thought their superior technology would prevail. They hadn't realized that humanity's greatest gift to their allies was teaching them how to be unpredictable. All ships, he broadcast, remember what Earth taught you. Don't fight as one, fight as many. Show them the art of chaos. The battle for Jupiter had only begun, but already the Hive was learning a harsh lesson. Never back a species into a corner when that species has spent its entire history learning how to fight its way out. Captain Sarah Whisper Winters crouched in the shadowy corridors of the Hive's primary neural hub, her crystalline-enhanced body blending perfectly with the biomechanical walls. Her team of 6, 3 humans, and 3 Vorkath warriors, had infiltrated deeper into Hive territory than any strike force before them. Primary node cluster ahead, her second-in-command, Lieutenant Jack Rodriguez, subvocalized through their neural link. Heavy drone presence. Sarah's enhanced vision pierced the organic-looking walls of the facility. Hundreds of drones moved in perfect synchronization, their bodies physically connected to the neural network through writhing tendrils of living metal. Remember, she transmitted to her team, this isn't just a sabotage mission. Dr. Roberts' new program needs direct access to their primary consciousness matrix. The Vorkath warrior, Nelthak, phased through the floor beside her, his massive form solidifying silently. The drone's neural patterns are strange, he reported, his species' natural ability to sense brain activity enhanced by human biotech. Not like before. There's discord. Sarah nodded. The latest intelligence had suggested something was changing within the Hive. Their perfect unity was showing microscopic cracks, sparked by their continued failure to defeat humanity's chaotic strategies. Commence Operation Freedom of Thought, she ordered. Nelthak, you're up. The Vorkath warriors phased through different sections of the wall, placing quantum crystalline devices at key junction points. The technology, a merger of 3 different species innovations, would do something never before attempted: introduce the concept of individual choice into the Hive's neural network. Devices planted, Rodriguez confirmed. Ready for Phase 2. Sarah took a deep breath and activated her most recent biotech enhancement. Her consciousness expanded, riding the quantum frequencies the Hive used for communication. The sensation was overwhelming. Millions of minds connected in perfect, suffocating unity. Broadcasting now, she pushed her thoughts into the network. Not attacking, not trying to control, but simply sharing memories. The joy of making her own choices, the thrill of individual achievement, the beauty of choosing connection rather than being forced into it. The effect was immediate. The nearby drones stumbled, their perfect synchronization faltering as foreign concepts invaded their shared consciousness. Movement in the neural patterns, Nelthak reported. It's spreading faster than predicted. They're curious. Sarah pushed deeper, sharing more memories. The pride of Earth's first contact with the Angsteri. The satisfaction of choosing to help refugees despite the danger. The strength found in voluntary cooperation rather than enforced unity. A drone suddenly broke formation, its head turning to stare directly at Sarah's hidden position. But instead of attacking, it reached up and touched its own face, as if feeling it for the first time. What? The drone's voice was raspy from disuse, individual vocal cords struggling to work independently. "What is this sensation?" "That's your own thought," Sarah responded, stepping out of hiding. "Your first individual choice." More drones began to move independently, their movements jerky and uncertain like newborns learning to walk. The neural tendrils connecting them to the network started to retract. "Warning," Rodriguez called out. "Massive power surge in the central cortex. The primary consciousness is trying to reassert control." Sarah straightened, her body glowing with crystalline energy. "Push the program to full power. Show them everything. Every human memory of freedom, every moment of choice, every beautiful consequence of individual thought." The neural hub erupted with activity as millions of drones simultaneously experienced individual consciousness for the first time. Some fell to their knees, overwhelmed by sensation. Others began to speak, their first original thoughts emerging in halting words. "The primary consciousness is fragmenting," Nelfak reported with awe. "The drones, they're choosing to disconnect. Not all of them, but millions, billions across the network." Sarah watched as the perfect unity of the hive began to dissolve, not through violence or force, but through the simple, devastating power of choice. The very trait that the hive had dismissed as a weakness in humanity had become the key to their undoing. "Captain," a drone approached her, its movements becoming more natural with each step. I would like to learn more about this." "Freedom." Sarah smiled, extending her hand to the first of many who would choose a new path. "Welcome to individual consciousness. The choice of what to do with it is entirely yours." Lisa Diplomat Harrison stood before the Galactic Council, her simple Earth diplomatic uniform standing out among the ornate robes of the alien representatives. The great chamber, with its soaring crystalline spires and quantum light displays, had fallen into an unprecedented silence. "6 months ago," she began, her enhanced eyes meeting those of each council member, "you called us savages for opening our doors to the Mxteri. You claimed our primitive nature would lead to our destruction. Today, I stand before you not to demand apologies, but to offer a path forward." The central display activated, showing Earth's transformed cities where humans and aliens lived together in harmony. Crystal spires merged with steel skyscrapers, energy beings danced through quantum fields, and former hive drones walked freely among them all. Humanity's greatest strength was never our technology, our weapons, or even our adaptability. Lisa continued, "It was our understanding that true civilization isn't built on enforced unity or perfect order. It's built on choice, on the beautiful chaos of individual wills choosing to work together." The Council's chief administrator, a being of pure energy contained within an ancient environmental suit, leaned forward. "You have achieved what we thought impossible. The Hive Collective, which threatened our galaxy for millennia, now fragments into individual communities. How do you intend to prevent these newly freed drones from becoming a different kind of threat?" Lisa smiled, gesturing to her right, where Commander Sarah Winters stood alongside a former Hive drone, who now called himself Alexander. The drone's biomechanical body had been modified, showing signs of individual expression through subtle color patterns and unique physical adaptations. By doing what humanity does best, teaching them how to be individuals while remaining part of a community, every former drone who chooses freedom is welcome to Earth's training centers. They learn not just how to think independently, but how to be part of a voluntary collective. The display shifted to show the transformed Jupiter shipyards, where human engineers worked alongside former Hive drones to convert their warships into exploration vessels. Mxteri crystal technology merged with Hive biomechanics, creating ships that could bridge the gap between multiple species' needs. "The age of enforced unity is ending," Lisa declared. "But we're not here to replace it with chaos. We're here to show the galaxy a middle path, one where diversity becomes strength, where individual choice creates stronger bonds than any hive mind could enforce." A murmur ran through the council chamber as the display showed the latest statistics. Thousands of former hive worlds transforming under human guidance, Millions of drones choosing names, developing personalities, learning to balance individual desires with community needs. The Galactic Council has maintained peace through strict order for 10,000 years. The chief administrator observed, "You propose to change everything about how our civilization functions." "We propose to help it evolve," Lisa corrected. "Earth is applying for full council membership, not as supplicants, but as equals. We offer our experience in turning differences into strength, in finding unity through choice rather than force." Alexander stepped forward, his voice carrying the unique cadence of someone who had learned to speak as an individual. "I was part of the hive's primary consciousness. We thought humanity's fractious nature was their weakness. We could not comprehend how a species could progress while maintaining such internal diversity. Now I understand. It was never about controlling chaos, but about embracing it, channeling it, learning from it." The chamber erupted in discussion as council members processed this unprecedented situation. Lissa waited patiently, knowing that change, real change, took time and choice. "Your proposal has merit," the chief administrator finally announced. Earth will be granted full council membership, with a special mandate to oversee the integration of formerly collective species into galactic society. As Lisa completed the diplomatic formalities, she caught sight of her reflection in the chamber's crystalline walls. The subtle glow of her biotech enhancements reminded her of how far humanity had come, not by abandoning their nature, but by embracing it fully and helping others do the same. The species once dismissed as savages had become teachers to the galaxy, showing that true civilization wasn't about suppressing chaos or enforcing order, but about finding the strength to choose unity while celebrating diversity.